But so, Revelation 17, or what am I saying? Revelation 17:18 go right with Isaiah 47:48. Um, and you're told, right, in Revelation 17:18 that Mystery Babylon is this end days Christian church that's spread its sorceries to the four corners of the world. And so you start and you got to learn these idioms, right? Because you get Babylon, right? You don't really know what that means unless like, you just think about how things are in the world. Or who's like, what's the nation that's sitting like um, above all the other nations, right? That's spreading its pride and its stuff to the whole world, right? What nation is like that? The only nation that you get like that is America. Okay, and so America is the one that's created all these different denominations, right? Because you have all these Christian churches that sprang up in the United States, right? That's why we have 45, 50,000 different denominations, and then they spread their polluted like feasts and stuff like that, right? Christmas and Easter and stuff like that to the whole world. That's why the whole world is doing Christmas and Easter. If it wasn't for America, that wouldn't be so. But everybody looks at America as it's this glass house and whatnot. Everybody sees what's going on inside there. So this is Isaiah 47. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Right? Their nakedness is caused because they're going after these other gods. Right? Going after the Christmas Jesus God, after the Easter Sun God Day God. Right? Tomorrow, right, Sunday, they're going to be going and worshiping the sun. Hey, Yara. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, Jehovah of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit down, silence, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Right? Who is being called the Lady of Kingdoms today? Right? You go over to Isaiah 28, right? And there's this group of people that are sitting amongst the nations. Let me just go through that. So Isaiah 28, right, this group of people, they're this glorious beauty, right? That, and you got this Lady of Kingdoms, or what is it? Yeah, Lady of Kingdoms. Here you got this glorious beauty. You see how Ephraim, right, there are a multitude of nations in a nation that's like influencing all the other nations. So Isaiah 28, verse 1, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. Right, so what nation is overcome with pride? Because this wine is an idiom for pride. The only nation that you're going to get is the United States of America. Right, and if you go to any of these churches and tell them about keeping the Ten Commandments, what do you think that they're going to say? Are they going to say, oh, like we should keep the Ten Commandments? No, they're going to be full of pride and say, oh, we just rely on the church fathers. Or, oh, we're just doing the ways that we've always done. Right, we're just going to continue following the traditions that our fathers did and their fathers did. Right, they don't actually want to read this word and do what it says. Right, they don't want to keep the Sabbath holy, and that's why they're going tomorrow on Sun God Day to worship the sun. Right, that's why Constantine changed the Sabbath in 321 AD from Saturday to Sunday. But everybody knows that Saturday is the seventh day of the week. Everybody does. But yet they don't want to keep his seventh day Sabbath holy. And so they want to keep Jesus, winter solstice pagan demigod, right, that sun god guy, his day holy, instead of Jehovah's day holy, right, and Yeshua comes in his father's name. He's not going to change the Sabbath to another day, because if it was another day, he would have told you. But it didn't change it to a different day. So back to Isaiah 47, right, so this Babylon is the same thing, the same people as Ephraim. Right, there's these people that are spreading their sorceries to the four corners of the earth. Right, that sorcery is this pagan witchcraft stuff. Right, before, in times past, they were sacrificing their children to Moloch. And now, right, this is just spiritually changed. Or, well, it's the same thing spiritually, but it just looks a little bit different. Because right, the entire Christian church knows that Satan hides himself as an angel of light. Right, and how is he going to hide himself as an angel of light? Well, close up coming, you got Halloween, right? You got all these bright lights and all these nice things that look all really fun, but it's this pagan witchcraft. Like, in Halloween, it's the most obvious thing to see that it's against God, right? But then you go to Christmas, it's like, where did this Satan guy or Santa guy come from, right? And then you offer your children to Santa, and then you offer cookies and milk to Satan Claus. Like, how stupid can that be? And then you do the same thing with Easter. Like, where do these bunnies and eggs come from? Right, it's all about fertility. Right, the goddess of fertility. That's what they were doing in Acts 19, worshiping Ishtar. So, back in Isaiah 47, right, this Lady of Kingdoms, verse 6. I was wroth with my people, I had polluted my inheritance, and gave them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. And thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever. Right, this is what Babylon or Ephraim is saying. I shall be a lady forever. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. Right, who's not considering the latter end? Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures. Right, I'm going to go to 2 Timothy 3 about these people that are given to pleasures, that dwellest curiously, and that sayest in thine hearts, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. They say that they're not going to know the loss of children, but then you go over to Hosea, right? I think everybody knows this verse, Hosea 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. That thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, right? You've forgotten the 10 Commandments, I will also forget thy children. Right, and Ephraim or Babylon thinks that they're not going to have loss of children, but their children are going to be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Right, you get this in Isaiah 3 and Isaiah 13. But they don't realize this. They're offering their children to Satan, not realizing that they're giving them to demons. And then so now you hop over to 2 Timothy 3, right? Who are these people that are given to pleasures? Right, it gives you all the qualities of them. Right, so this is Paul telling you, okay, this know also that in the last days, right, so what did you have in Isaiah 47? You had the latter end, right? Last days, latter end, it's the same thing, right? Because you see these idioms throughout the Bible talking about the end days, right? In the latter days, you will consider it perfectly. My people have forgotten my name, Jehovah, for Baal, because they've forgotten his name for this Christmas Jesus guy. You see that in Jeremiah 23, right? You see these idioms across the entire Bible. And this isn't the only one, right? As I was pointing out, Ephraim, Babylon, talking about America. But so 2 Timothy 3, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And we're in the last days, right? Because Peter tells you in 2 Peter 3, verse 8, be not ignorant of this one mystery, that a day with the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. Hosea 6 says, after 2 days will he revive us, and on the third day he'll raise us up. Then shall we know if we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared as the morning, as the early and latter rain upon the earth. Right, so after 2 days, right, after 2,000 years, Yeshua is going to return, and then Great Tribulation is going to begin. And so, if you think about it, right, just look it up. Like, when was maybe Yeshua, risen? Right, you see maybe like 28 AD or something like that. And so you hop 2,000 years later, oh, that's right at the corner. Right, so what are you told? Right, so that he doesn't come unto you as a thief in the night, you're told to watch. Right, you got to read Matthew 24 or Mark 13, both of them. Right, and those tell you that if you watch, he won't come unto you as the thief in the night. Right? What does it mean to watch? You got to go read Ezekiel 2 and 3. Right? Those tell you to be a watchman. A watchman, they warn the people to repent. Repent from what? From breaking the Ten Commandments. Ryan, 2 Timothy 3 tells you all about these people in Babylon or Ephraim and the Christian churches that are breaking the Ten Commandments. Right? This is, and the entire church doesn't know this because the devil deceived the whole world. Right? You see that in Revelation 12, verse 9. And you see that in Matthew 24, verse 24. Right? That's like many are going to deceive many, and so much if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. But obviously, it's not possible to deceive the very elect. Right? Because God works through his watchmen, the very elect, in the last days to raise up Jacob. And you're going to see that in Isaiah 49. But so, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. So what do you think all these women are doing with covering themselves with makeup? And trying to wear all these fancy jewelry, wearing all these cross necklaces, and putting on all these earrings, and putting on these fancy apparel. Right, what does Isaiah 3 say about these people? Right, it gives you all these descriptive words about the people that are trying to cover themselves with all these different things, right, that are being lovers of their own selves, and then their shame is going to be brought upon them, and it's going to be made manifest unto all men. Covetous, right, so what is Ephraim? They're covetous, right? You see from the prophet to the priest, everyone is given to covetousness, right? Because the people, if you tell them, oh, you can't be doing Christmas and Easter, they're going to covet after those things, right? Even the children, they're already coveting after all these gifts that they're going to receive, right? That's why they only care about the gifts. If you ask a kid, hey, what's your favorite thing about Christmas? They're going to say, oh, my parents give me some good gifts. It's like they're obviously coveting. Because you tell them about Santa, and you tell them about your Christmas Jesus guy, and it's like, they're both these mystical beings or whatever. You're just lying to them, right? You lie to them about Santa, and then when they get old enough, you tell them, oh, Santa's real, and then now also they don't believe in God. Right? And Messiah's name is Yeshua, not Jesus. So covetous, boasters, proud, right? The drunkards of Ephraim, right? They're proud, blasphemers, right? Do not they blaspheme that worthy name by which you're called, right? Because his name is Jehovah, and Yeshua comes in his father's name, Jehovah, right? And that's why the watchmen have to proclaim his name so that people aren't blaspheming his name, or they're also blaspheming the spirit of grace, conviction, right? It's divine influence upon your heart and its reflection into life. You got to read Titus 2 for that. Disobedient to parents, right? You see in Ephesians 6 that the people that are disobedient to parents, it actually means that the parents aren't teaching their children to keep the Ten Commandments. Because the only way that the children are going to learn to obey their Heavenly Father is through their parents. But if their parents never teach them to keep the Ten Commandments, then how are they supposed to obey God? Right, and that's why you have each generation, it's worse and worse as you go. Right, and then we're at the last age generation, which is the worst of all. Right, that's why you have Yeshua and God telling you all about this last days generation. Unthankful, right? So people are unthankful for even like what God shows them in the Word, like the mean due season. Unholy, right? You're told, be holy as your Father in heaven is holy, right? That's what Peter's quoting in Leviticus 11, verse 44, telling you to not eat any unclean animals. And then you're also told that you have to keep this holy covenant, right? And Yeshua even came in Luke 1 to remember the holy covenant, or the holy covenant is the Ten Commandments, right? So if you want to be that people that's holy, you got to keep the Ten Commandments, and you got to eat biblically clean. Without natural affection, right? And so this is Romans 1, right? Romans 1 is well underway because of covenant breaking, because of breaking the covenants of promise. And so people, right, they're going after, like, you obviously see this in America, where they're allowing all this alphabet stuff, all these rainbow flags and stuff, right, turning the true rainbow of God into this nasty thing. but obviously you can't rebuke the heathen. It's just a consequence of us doing Christmas and Easter, right? Doing these pagan abominations. Because we break God's covenant, he'll give the people over to a reprobate mind to do things which are unseemly. Right? So first take out the log of your own eye to repent from Christmas and Easter so that the people can be healed. Truce breakers, right? Truce breakers means covenant breakers. False accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. Right? Yeshua says in Matthew 19, like where there's this guy, this rich young ruler saying, "Hey, good master, what good thing must I do to inherit eternal life?" And it says, "Why do you call me good?" Right? Because there's only one good, that's God, Jehovah, but right, he's the Son of God. If you want to enter into life, keep the Ten Commandments. Right? That's what he says. Right? Lists off a few of the Ten Commandments. Right? But people, right, if you go to the Christian church, they're going to be despisers of those that keep the Ten Commandments. Or that's why when you tell somebody, "Hey, you got to keep the Ten Commandments," they're going to be like, "Do you keep the Ten Commandments perfectly?" And obviously nobody keeps it perfectly, only Yeshua kept it perfectly. But you're trying to help other people repent, right? Be obedient to God. Just telling people simply, don't have any of these graven images like crosses, crucifixes. Don't do Christmas and Easter. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Right, that's what we got in Isaiah 47. Right, these people of Babylon, where is it? So these people of Babylon, right, they're given to pleasures, and they dwell carelessly, and they say in their heart, "I am and none else beside me." Okay, that's what we got about these people in these last days people, right, and what Paul talks about in 2 Timothy 3. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, right? So they want the newest thing, right? They want the newest phone, the newest car, the newest house, a better job, whatever. All these things, all these pleasures, over God. Having a form of godliness, right? They look like these nice people, right? Even they put on cufflinks and all this stuff, right? I don't got any cufflinks on. I'm not even wearing a shirt. But so they have this form of godliness. They speak even these nice swelling words unto you, but they deny the power thereof, right? Where they're denying the power of Jehovah's Spirit of grace, his conviction that convicts you to keep the Ten Commandments. That's why you're given the Spirit of grace. And then if you obey that Spirit of grace, then you're given the second comfort, the Spirit of truth, which helps you understand this word. But because the Christian church doesn't read the word or obey the word, right, through the conviction that they're given, they're not receiving the Spirit of truth. Right, so that's why you have just complete division in the church. But then Paul tells you, like, you're not supposed to have any division among you. You see that in 1 Corinthians 1. Right, so that's why God makes foolish the wisdom of the world through, like, the foolishness of preaching. Right, the people that are just trying to warn you to keep the Ten Commandments. So they deny the power thereof, from such turn away, right? Have nothing to do with them. Right? Even John tells you in 2 John 1 verse 2 John chapter 1 verse 9 to 11 to not even let them into your house. Right? Don't bid someone Godspeed that brings you to a different doctrine. Because you see even in Galatians chapter 1 that let these people be accursed that bring a different doctrine. So, for of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be made manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. And so now I'm going to hop back to Revelation, or what am I saying? Isaiah 47, and continue for a few verses more. Right, so verse 8, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures and dwellest curiously, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. Right, so you're told that um uh Babylon, right, is made desolate. It falls, right, in 1 hour and one day. The loss of children and widowhood, they shall come upon thee in their perfection, right, in their fullness, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. So now if you hop over to Revelation 17, right, you see more about this Babylon. So Revelation 17, yeah, I'm just going to read through Revelation 17 and 18. And there came one of the seven angels which had seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. For many waters is people. Right, into this whore, you're going to see in a few verses later, it's the entire church, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Right, you go to Revelation 12, and you see that Satan has 7 heads and 10 horns, because it's talking about the same beast. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written. Right, what is the name of this great whore? Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Right, so the Catholic Church breeds all these Protestant denominations and stuff like that through like the different schisms and stuff. Right, so that's how you got to all these different whores that are going after these pagan gods. Right, through Christmas and Easter. Right, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was and is not and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And a short space is a little season, right? That 3.5 years of great tribulation. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goeth into perdition. The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength into the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Right, so many are called and few are chosen. But the people that choose to enter the work, these are the ones that are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is the great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Right, this lady of kingdoms. Right, you saw that in Revelation or Isaiah 47. Right, this great city, this Babylon, right, it's America that's dwelling over all the earth. So now chapter 18, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. Right, so it's going to fall in 1 hour and 1 day. Is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Right, but how is it possible if Jesus made all foods clean, or whatever? Then you have unclean animals here. Because that's not even how it is, right? You don't even get that in the Bible. Right? You still have unclean animals that you can't eat. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Right? They've drunk of the Christmas and Easter pagan abominations. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people. Right? Come out of the Christian churches, that ye be not partakers of her sins. Right? This is 2 John 1. Right? Don't be partakers with them. And that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, right? This is the same thing that you saw in Isaiah 47. I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Jehovah God who judgeth her. Or I'll just point out this connection really quick. So Isaiah 47, right, verse 8, or actually verse 7, and thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, though that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in 1 day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection and whatever. Right, it's that same thing that you got in Revelation 18. So, where was I? Okay, verse 9, Revelation 18. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off, for the fear of her torments, saying, Alas, alas, thy great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. And the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner vessels of ivory, and all manner vessels of most precious wood, and of brass, and iron, and marble, and cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torments, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city, that was clothed in fine linen, and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold, and precious stones, and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. Every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Right? That's the day of the Lord. Rejoice over thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. Right, the light of the candle, right, that's the spirit of truth. Right, so the spirit is going to depart from the people. And the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride shall be heard no more. Right, the voice of the bridegroom is Yeshua. The voice of the bride is the 144,000, the watchmen that are redeemed from the earth. Right, when Jacob is called to the throne. Right, you see in Revelation 12, it's the man-child. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Or by your Christmas and Easter, Christian church, the entire world was deceived. Right, they were given over to reprobate minds. They received the spirit of the Antichrist. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. So now back to Revelation, or what I keep saying that. Isaiah 47. Verse 12, Stand now with thine enchantments and with a multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Right, the multitude of thy counsels is all the Christian churches. Right, all these pastors that are lying to you. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. Right, that's going to be great tribulation. They're not going to save themselves from this. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter. None shall save thee. Chapter 48. Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of Jehovah, and make mention of the God of Israel, but not in truth nor in righteousness. So God has this thing against the house of Judah, right? Against Judah. Yeah. Right, because Judah, the law not departed from Judah, but they're not going and looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right, and so that's why God has this thing against Judah, because they're not executing judgment. Right, they're not speaking the truth. Right, they're even having Ephraim fall after their wind. Right, falling after the doctrine of Judah, and they're letting them do that. They're causing people to worship them. Right, the entire Christian church worships Judah, when that's not supposed to be so. They're trying to build the third temple, when that's not gonna, that's not the temple. Right, the temple is the people, or their vessel, or whatever. You're not supposed to be doing the feast until the new kingdom. But to verse 2, for they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel. Jehovah of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth. And I showed them, I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. Because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. Right, think about, because God is trying to give you, a mental picture of what this is. right? So thou art obstinate, right? Stiff necked or whatever. You see, thy neck is as an iron sinew, right? So your neck isn't moving. You're stiff necked. You're not gonna change what you're thinking. And thy brow brass, right? So they're just like they're just stiff necked, hard hearted. They're proud, right? Stuck in their pride, right? So that's what that's depicting, right? That's exactly how Ephraim is. Babylon. I have even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it to thee, lest thou shouldest say, mine idol hath done them, and my graven image and my molten image hath commanded them. Thou hast heard, seal this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them. Now lest thou shouldest say, behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not, yea, from that time that thine ear was not opened, for I knew that thou wouldest dwell very treacherously. Right, I knew that you're going to break the Ten Commandments. You go back to Hosea 6 to see about that. It was called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I refine thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Right, so this group of people that it's talked about here, they have to get tried in great tribulation. Right, they have to make their robes white. Right, to keep the Ten Commandments and telling others to do so. This goes even right with the people that fall. They had understanding, but then the Spirit departs from them, and then so they have to go through great tribulation. Right, this is the entire Torah movement. Right, and these people were part of Ephraim. Right, the pride of Ephraim. They repented from Christmas and Easter, but then they go back to that covetousness. Right, they covet after God's feast in a profane land. For mine own sake, even for mine own sake, will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? Right, because you see this across the Bible. You see it in like Ezekiel 36. You see it in James 2, verse 7. Right, do not they blaspheme that worthy name by which you are called? And I will not give my glory unto another. Hearken to me, O Jacob, and Israel, my called. I am he, I am the first, I am the last. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I called unto them, they stand up together. All ye, assemble yourselves, and hear, which among them hath declared these things. Jehovah hath loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. I and I have spoken. Yea, I have called to him, I have brought him, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye now unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning, from the time that it was. There am I, and now Jehovah God and his Spirit hath sent me. Thus saith Jehovah, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am Jehovah thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. Oh, that thou hadst hearkened to my commandments, then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, and the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof. His name shall not have been cut off, nor destroyed from before me. Go ye forth of Babylon, right? From Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans, right? Come out from my people. With a voice of singing, declare ye, tell this, utter it even to the end of the earth. Say ye, Jehovah hath redeemed his servant Jacob. Right, you see in Isaiah 44 how he redeems Jacob. Right, the water is poured upon the grass, convicting Jacob, and he springs up amongst the grass. Right, starting himself as Jacob, Israel, and I am the Lord's. And they thirsted, not when he led them through the deserts. He caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. Right, the rock at Horeb, the Ten Commandments. To flow out of the rock for them, he clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. There is no peace, saith Jehovah, unto wicked. Right, because the peace is the refreshing of the covenants. Right, told in Isaiah 28 that there's this refreshing, yet they would not hear. Right, and that's why there's no peace in the wicked. Right, even Yeshua tells you, I don't bring peace, but I bring a sword. So now Isaiah 49. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. Jehovah hath called me from the womb. Right, you get the same thing about the watchman calling. You see it in like with Jeremiah. From the bowels of my mother hath he made mention of my name, and he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand hath he hidden me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hidden me, and said unto me, Thou art my servant. Right, you're supposed to be servants. Servants enter into the work. They go and fulfill the royal law. They nail their ear to the door. Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Right, glorify not me, and I've given you the glory. Right, you see that in like John 17. Because even Yeshua like prays for that they might be like given the same glory that Yeshua has received. Then I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for naught, and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Jehovah, and my work with my God. And now, saith Jehovah, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, right? Because these people, they were created to be servants. You see this in the same thing in, I think it's Isaiah 54 and Isaiah 62, where he's created the smith for the work. Actually, let me just go to it. So, verse 16 of Isaiah 54, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. Right? The instrument is the staff of authority to do the work of the prophets. And I've created the waster to destroy. Right? So those people are like Jacob, he's created, right? Because these people are held until the last days to go and warn the Christian church to repent from their pagan abominations and to raise up Jacob, the watchman, right? You're called to raise up the watchman. So Isaiah 49 verse 5, and now saith Jehovah that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Jehovah, and my God shall be my strength. And he said, It is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. And I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Yeah, and that's kind of where I plan to read just those chapters. Yeah, hopefully that was good for people. Yep, praise Yah. Happy Sabbath.